think, it's huge having football in these CFL communities. You can see it every year at the Canada Cup. Saskatchewan and Manitoba, which aren't the biggest provinces, they always produce a great team out there. And I think it really helps having a local team there, and it really helps drive the grassroots programs. I think if we're partners, we're going to be working towards the same goal on growing this game and making it the best league possible. Everyone loves the league, and let's just keep making it better and better. I think we took a huge step last year as the CFLPA and the CFL working in one direction, getting the league back and up and running during COVID. I think if we work together, there's nothing we can't tackle, and I think we can really develop this game and take it to the next level.
Players can help grow Canadian football by being ambassadors in their communities, as well as being icons to the next generation. It's important that the CFLPA and the CFL are partners and mutually respect each other so that we can both grow the game of football in Canada. A fair collective agreement to me looks like a world where the CFLPA and the CFL both benefit from the future growth of the game in Canada.
Players can help grow the CFL by remaining committed to provide an exciting game, and also by continuing to be great ambassadors within their communities and beyond. It's important that the Players Association and the league treat each other as partners, because only in true partnership will our league be able to experience exponential growth. We must approach this relationship with respect so that we can truly maximize all of the potential from this allegiance. To me, a fair collective bargaining agreement is one that is mutually beneficial to the parties involved. It is one that is equitable and addresses issues and discrepancies with pay and benefits. It is one that includes policies that affect players' physical, psychological, and financial well-being.
There you have it. What's up, my friends from Canada, the United States of America? Mark Perry, your favorite American CFL fan and editor of CFL News Hub. Welcome to another episode of the CFL Week in Review podcast, a weekly recap of the Canadian Football League. You just heard from Adam Bighill and others via the CFLPA. I haven't really heard much about negotiations other than they're talking. I mean, you got the drafts coming up here, boys. And then we got the season coming up here relatively shortly. So we'll keep you posted if you hear anything more but from the CFL or CFLPA. Hopefully they can hammer out something good. The biggest thing for me is I just want those players to get paid well. That's always on the top of my list, especially because they don't get paid, because of, they play a lot of games, but then at the same time, they get paid, their American counterparts get paid equal, but then there's the conversion stuff. So we saw some big contracts out there, but definitely I want to, increase player pay is definitely one aspect that I would like to see, especially when the players have took a pay cut the last couple of years to get these, at least last season, to get the game off the ground. That being said, what's up, my friends? Welcome. If you want to be part of the show, email podcast at CFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. Leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 6. That's right. Make sure you smash the extension 6. We have a phone number for each of our shows, so that's all ready to go. One of our fans had suggested it, and I was like, that's probably a good idea. Quit being so lazy, Mark. If you want to leave a review, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. We love it. Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcast. Just smash it. Just give us a review, 5 stars. We'll read it on the show. Whether it's a CFL show, News Hub show, CFL Week in Review, which we're going to change it, and on Spotify, we can leave a review there. We'd appreciate that. And also, you can watch The CFL Weekend Review live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Always here to hang out with my boys from Canada. The CFL timeline, this is what I'm talking about. We are 50 days from CFL kickoff. So how, when are we going to lock a deal down here, boys? You got 50 days. You got May 2nd is the CFL draft. Super excited about that. We'll go over the Montreal Alouettes draft preview and some other draft news out there. We got a May 11th as the rookie camp starts, pretty much right after the draft. Then May 15th, training camp begins. So we're less than a month away from training camp. Got to lock down a deal. The first preseason game is May 23rd. And then, of course, the regular season kicks off June 9th. Finally, and it's nice to have a normal runway into the CFL season. Nothing's cut short. Everybody's got time to train. Everything is looking good for the Canadian Football League. So, hey, if you want to spread the word about the CFL, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel and help spread the word about the CFL, because football is hot. Whether it's in the United States, it's, we've got the USFL, XFL cranking up in the springtime. We have the CFL. Fans are clamoring for sports. Sports gambling is a big thing. So the CFL is an option for out there. We just need to spread the word and bring in fans to the season, because I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sure the gameplay is better than what the USFL had this past week. But they only had 3 weeks of training camp. The CFL has a nice runway. Hopefully there's no issues without this contract that spring up. But we'll see what happens next. So we got some draft preview stuff. We've got your social media stuff, people hanging out in the chat room. We appreciate that as well. So make sure if you like and subscribe to this channel, let's get this episode to 15 likes. All I ask is 15 likes. Take a second, smash that like button, spread the word about this show and the CFL. All right, my friends. So without further ado, that being said, let's just get into the week that was the CFL. First up, Metchie leaps to the top spot in the final CFL Scouting Bureau of 2023. Wide receiver takes first place ahead of the CFL draft on May 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern on TSN and RDS. Also, we will be doing a live stream, of course, for the draft this year on this channel. So you'll be hanging out with us May 3rd. The Canadian Football League has published the third and final edition of the top 20 prospects eligible for the 2022 CFL draft on May 3rd. The first two rounds, including commentary and in-depth analysis, will be broadcast beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern on TSN and RDS, Canadians' home for the CFL. The RDS draft show will also include a preview of the upcoming season. Exclusive coverage of the rounds 3 to 8 can be seen live on tsn.ca and the TSN app. Unfortunately, we can't see it here in the United States, but we will definitely be following everything on social media. The CFL Scouting Bureau, comprised of player personnel directors and general managers from the league's 9 clubs, as well as CFL scouts, released its prospect ranking in the fall, the winter, and spring editions. The Spring Scouting Bureau edition is as follows. So John Metchie, University of Alabama. Clearly, he is not going to be playing in the CFL at all. He is looking like a first round, second round pick in the NFL draft. And I've said this all along, I don't understand why you would take a wide receiver in the first round of any draft. He is the number 1 spot. Number 2 down from 1 is Jesse Luketa, linebacker, Penn State. Tyrell Richards, linebacker, Syracuse. Heard a lot of his name out there. Trey Ford, quarterback, University of Waterloo. Another guy, lots of interest in the NFL draft for him, perhaps. We'll see what happens there. Jason Philpott, wide receiver, and Tyson Philpott, both from University of Calgary, is in there in the top 5 and 6. Deontay Knight, a defensive lineman, Western University. Enoch Maconzo, DB from Coastal Carolina University. Tyrell Ford, a DB, University of Waterloo. Zozier, offensive lineman. Again, I'm in the first round in the draft taking offensive lineman. He's at 10. There's your top 10. Samuel Elmas, Daniel Mbabwe, running back from Bryant University. Raheem Brown, offensive lineman. Zach Fry, offensive lineman. Zach Pillows, offensive lineman. Peter Kazakcha, offensive line. Anthony Ferdicchio, defensive line. Cyril Hogan Sandion, offensive line. Greg McKellar, offensive line. And Nathan Cherry, defensive line. So we have a lot of offensive linemen in there. I expect that to be something that any team should just take in the first round. I don't get it. The spring ranking includes 7 offensive linemen, 4 wide receivers, 3 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, 2 DBs, 1 QB, and 1 running back. So the flashy positions, we only got 1 running back, 1 quarterback. The quarterback, of course, we've all heard Trey Ford. And then the running back is Daniel Adembabwe. I'm going to say it wrong. I'm going to butcher it. 14 schools are represented in the rankings, with 5 schools featuring multiple players. University of Waterloo with Trey and Terrell Ford. Calgary with Jalen and Tyson Philpott. Western University with Deontay Knight and Zach Fry. Saskatchewan has got Noah Zier and Nathan Cherry. And then the University of Alberta, Raheem Brown and Pete Kozlowska. 14 prospects are from U Sports. 6 are from the NCAA. 7 players are making their CFL Scouting Bureau debuts in these rankings. In 2021, 18 of the 20 prospects identified in the spring ranking were selected in the CFL draft. So here you go. You know that these guys are going to get drafted. I would say 19 of the 20 prospects identified will be selected. I don't know if anybody will take John Metchie, but maybe you want to take him at the end of the draft, just for the heck of it. We'll see. Of the 9 first-round selections in the 2021 CFL Draft, 5 appeared in the spring ranking. So, of course, we all know about John Metchie. It's in his final season at Tuscaloosa, University of Alabama. Metchie recorded a team-high 96 receptions for 1,142 yards and 8 touchdowns. The 96 were the 3rd most in Crimson Tide single-season history, propelling Metchie to the storied program's 13th 1,000 receiving yard season. He finished his collegiate career with 155 catches, 2,081 yards, and 14 majors. In 2020, Metchie won the CFP National Championship and claimed the John Cornish Trophy as top Canadian in the NCAA. He's looking to become the award's 2nd back-to-back winner. I believe he did win that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat room. I think that came out recently. Jesse Luketa, linebacker from Penn State, amassed 143 tackles, 81 solo, 62 assisted, 7 tackles for a loss, and an interception return for a touchdown in his collegiate career. In his final season, he tallied 53 tackles, 30 solo, 23 assisted, 4 tackles for a loss, and an interception. His 9 tackles in Penn State's victory in the Outback Bowl, get your bloomin' onion, baby, earned him invitations to the Reese Senior Bowl and the NFL Combine. He's a guy maybe might get picked, but we will have to find out. Terrell Richards, linebacker, Syracuse. A lot of people have been talking about him as maybe being the top pick after sitting out the 2021 season. Richard impressed at the 2022 CFL Combine, showcases athleticism, versatility, and participated in the drills as a linebacker, defensive lineman, and DB, becoming the only player in Combine history to manage that feat. Richards played 3 seasons for the Orange, collected 54 tackles and 9.5 tackles for a loss, 6 sacks across 31 games. Trey Ford, another guy, we'll see what happens with him. This past season, Ford passed for 1,465 yards and added 629 on the ground in 6 games en route to claiming the Heck Crichton Trophy. Ford finished his collegiate career with 71 touchdowns, 56 passing, 15 rushing, while notching more than 7,000 passing yards at the CFL Combine. Ford led all prospects with a time of 6.85 seconds in the 3-cone drill and clocked 4.45 second in the 40-yard dash at the University of Buffalo's Pro Day. And then finally, number 5, Jalen Philpott, wide receiver, University of Calgary. Philpott amassed 113 receptions for 1,889 yards and 10 touchdowns in his 3 seasons with the Dinos. In only 6 games in 2021, he recorded 46 receptions, 799 yards. Oh, just 1 yard short. 4 touchdowns, earning him 2nd career nod as a U Sports first team All-Canadian. There you have it. The draft is coming. We're getting all the draft lists. Who do you think has got that top spot? Realistically, will get picked in the CFL draft. We're just going to have to find out in the beginning of May, my friends. Our own Sam Shady has his Montreal Alouettes 2022 CFL draft preview heading into the 2022 draft circuit. Montreal might be the team that needs an infusion of young talent more than any other team in the league. Who will they target? What are their needs? Where do they select? So heading into the 2022 CFL draft, the Montreal Alouettes may be the team in the most need of infusion of young talent. However, no unit needs more help than the defense. After allowing just 305 points in 14 games and producing 50 sacks on the season, they saw significant turnover. The Alouettes watched as several players on every level of their defense left for other teams this offseason during free agency. So key losses in free agency: David Menard, defensive lineman Woody Barron, linebacker DJ Lalima, he was injured. DB Monshredrick Hunter had 2 interceptions. Twan Glass had a sack. Patrick Levels, 3 sacks and interception. I mean, Ty Cranston also left. I mean, that's a lot of DBs to lose. These are just players who have already latched on elsewhere. There is still a list of players who have yet to resign. Despite a strong push at retaining their own players, Montreal still has 6 free agents sprinkling throughout their team. This leaves Montreal needing to address the defense, specifically their secondary, earlier in the 2022 draft class. Building their secondary now through the draft will only benefit them over the next few years, as some of these short-term fixed free agent signings see their contract expired. So the positions of need: defensive back, pass rusher, linebacker, and wide receiver are the draft picks held by Montreal. They have the 4th overall pick. That's where I would take a DB. I'm with you there. 13th, the 24th, 33rd, 42, 51, 60, and 69. The global draft, they have the first global draft pick. You know it's going to be a punter. Guaranteed. Punter. The 18th in the second round and the 19th in the third round. Projecting 10 potential targets on round 1. Terrell Richards, linebacker, defensive lineman, DB, despite highlighting the secondary as their biggest need and early in the draft. I believe the man Montreal needs to target as their 4th overall pick as the 1st round is Terrell Richards. We all watched Richards lit up the combine, working out a DB and a linebacker and defensive lineman, ultimately capable of playing DB as well, but declining to work out all 3 positions. This is exactly the reason why he is a perfect fit for Montreal's defense. He is still on the board when the Montreal Alouettes select. I agree. I think if he's still on the board, you got to go with this guy, Terrell Richards. No question about that. He's a guy who stands at 6'3", weighs anywhere from 210 to 235 in college, has done his part in the run game, passing by coverage and even a pass rusher. Richards may not have played in 2020 or 2021, but he still managed to rack up 55 tackles, 9 for a loss, 6 sacks, 1 interceptions, and a bunch of other stuff. So he is versatile. Richards can come in and play a role that would help fill the shoes of several players through free agency, although you won't catch him playing cornerback. He can still do the same things on defense. Defense did with 6'3", 205-pound Ty Cranston. He will aid the pass rush. So definitely a guy that they should sign. Jesse Luketa, a linebacker, also is a guy, a prospect. He's a unique process given that he's born and raised in Ottawa. He will not count against the American-Canadian ratio in a negative manner, despite receiving very high-level coaching at Penn State, so the former Penn State guy. Enoch Makonzo, the DB. So if Richard and Luketa are already picked, they'll take a DB, Enoch Makonzo from Coastal Carolina. And he's the type of player who can play safety or line up as a linebacker, depending how the coaching staff views him. Again, adding a player with this versatility can help mask many of the different losses the Alouettes are trying to fill in the draft. Some other potential guys in round 2, Terrell Ford, he's got on there, DB if he's still available, of the famous Ford twins. Jaden Dalek is a guy who could be very interesting to watch in CFL, large safety, 6'2", 210 pounds, that hits like a linebacker. He's a former CJFL All-Canadian, showing his level of play prior to the draft. So we'll see if he's another one. Josiah Shackle, a linebacker. He is how Shackle is an asset in coverage and his primary use of linebacker. Maybe they go defensive line. Anthony Fercario is a guy who made an impression in college. He is an exact type of designated pass rusher who could place David Menard. 6'4", 250 with that guy. He was able to get 20 sacks over his 3 seasons of play and would fit perfectly where Menard left off. In fact, Frederico might be the best fit scheme-wise for Montreal wants to do in the second round. So we'll see that. Global draft. That being said, there's also the global draft occurring the same day. Remember, that's happening before. As Mike Mitchell pointed out his Toronto Argonauts draft here, there was one particular player that stood out among the rest. French DB Idris Jean Alphonse is a player who could garner a lot of attention due to his performance at the Combine. Another guy who stood out at the Combine was wide receiver Yankee Martyr of the GFL, running a 4.56 40 dash, 10-foot 3-inch broad jump, and 7.22 in the 3-cone drill. So those could be guys helping in the secondary. Idris John Alphonse, a cornerback, or safety, is a guy out there, a Unac Maynard, a wide receiver. And the Alouettes are lucky to have a solid group of weapons on the offensive side. They were able to retain William Stanback, Eugene Lewis, and Jake Winicky as their weapons for their quarterback Vernon Adams and Trevor Harris. So maybe you bring in a guy like Mayer to help out when it comes to that. Some honorable mentions: Mads Flat, linebacker, Consanas Gladiators; Ryan Gomes, linebacker of the Gallup Brazil; Carlos Bronze of the Warclaw Panthers of the ELF, something that we talk about here, the ELF, European League of Football as well. So we will see. It will be interesting what's going to happen with the Montreal Alouettes, but I totally agree with Sam's assessment that they definitely need to get some of that secondary help coming into the 2022 season. Some good news: the Winnipeg Blue Bombers signed CFL veteran Jalen Saunders. So they announced that they signed him to a 2-year contract. He's 5'9", 170-pound wide receiver out of the University of Oklahoma. As a Sooner, he started 30 of 48 games played, where he had 3,085 yards receiving, 203 receptions, and 26 scoring touchdowns. Saunders' previously destination was the Ottawa Redblacks in 2020 and 21. The 2022 season was cut short due to the you-know-what. And in 2021, his season was cut short due to a nasty car accident that basically took him out for the season. The fact that they're going to spend, that is sign him to a 2-year contract, hopefully that means he's recovered and ready to rock and roll. We'll just have to find out, because it was a pretty gnarly looking traffic accident that took him out for the season. Saunders started his pro career when he was drafted for the New York Jets in the 4th round of the 2014 NFL Draft. He would only be part of the team for a couple of months before being released. After that, he was part of the Cardinals, Seahawks, Saints, Patriots, and Bears before turning to the CFL. During his career, he appeared in 15 games on special teams. Returning kicks and punts, Saunders has 15 punt returns for 125 yards and 3 kick returns for 139. In April 2017, he participated in the Spring League, the startup development league that operates, that showcased. Saunders would then sign with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Despite being released after the preseason, Saunders was assigned to the Hamilton's practice squad. After 2 weeks, Saunders was promoted to the active roster. During his CFL debut on July 8th, Saunders recorded 6 catches for 78 yards, making him the most productive receiver for the Ticats. Saunders' elite level of play would have led the Ticats in receiving yards during the 2017 season. He finished with 1,170 yards, 76 catches. In the 25 games over 2 seasons with the Hamilton, he accumulated 171 receptions for 1,909 yards and 6 touchdowns. So hopefully he is back to full strength. Judging on that nasty car accident, I'm a little skeptical, but I really hope he is back in game shape and ready to go. This news just came out. Steven Richardson to miss significant time in 2022. So BC Lions defensive lineman Steven Richardson will be out for a significant amount of time, according to Lions co-GM head coach Rick Campbell. Campbell issued the following statement on Wednesday, quote, Steven Richardson suffered a significant injury during a workout session last week while preparing for the season, will be out for a significant amount of time. He is already on the road to recovery. I hope to have him back for the stretch run of the season. That is not like we'll see in 2-3 months. That is a big-time injury. I'm skeptical if he will return at all. Richards signed with the Lions as a free agent earlier this year before heading to the Leos. The 26-year-old spent 2 seasons with the Blue Bombers, where he recorded 28 defensive tackles, 6 sacks, and a forced fumble in 25 regular season contests. Nicknamed Stove, the 5'11", 300-pound Richardson also recorded a pair of sacks in Winnipeg's 108th Grey Cup victory over Hamilton last December, en route to winning his second ring and as many seasons with the Blue and Gold. So he is out for, I would assume for the season, but hopefully not. I mean, we hope that he gets back, but not a good sign. You sign a guy to a big contract, expect him to be in, and he gets hurt during the offseason. We'll keep you posted on his status as we move forward. All right, we'll be back with your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends. All right, my friends, we are back. We have returned. What I wanted to point out, too, if you saw that commercial, where is it? They actually have exclusive pre-sale for the Touchdown Atlantic. So the East Coast's biggest celebration of football, the Touchdown Atlantic, will return, of course, on Saturday, July 16th, as the Saskatchewan Roughriders take on the Toronto Argonauts. The 2020 edition of the game will be held at Wolfville, where Arcadia University's Raymond Field will be expanded to welcome the 10,000 fans at Nova Scotia's first ever Canadian football regular season game. It will lead up to the main event. Downtown Halifax will offer 3 days of fun-filled football festivities. Cool. To build excitement and anticipation for the game before tickets go on sale, the public will want to offer an exclusive opportunity to secure your seats now. So Wednesday to Friday, use the code CFLTDA22 to get early access to get those tickets exclusive. I would assume that exclusive went to everybody on their mailing list, not just me. Even though I am special, as some people will say. So there you go. Hey, thanks for everybody being checking us out on the chat. We've got, let's see here. Marcine says, hey, do you think Winnipeg needs a better backup quarterback to win the Grey Cup again? Backup quarterback? What are you talking about? Let's see. Let's check out who's on their roster right now. As far as their, let's see, Blue. And we will have, I'm very excited. I mean, Zach Caleros, you're good there. Let's see here. I am pulling up their roster now. Let's make sure. I'm not sure if this is. Oh, this should be up to date. I've been looking at the data from. Started looking at data from the USFL, and I'm gearing up. And I could talk about that right now, actually. The fantasy football that we have going on, News Hub Fantasy. So I've gotten to play around with the USFL's data. And now I'm going to transition once things sort of settle in with the league, and I'll get that homepage set up that you guys can set up your leagues. Not yet, but you can certainly sign up. I wouldn't create a league just yet because I need to bring that down, the league size down to 6, but I don't want to do that until I get things squared away. But I've been playing around also just actually today, as a matter of fact, looking at the CFL's data on there. But I'm looking on their website now because you don't know who is a free agent still. You know, there'll be a lot of signings. I mean, basically, it's Dakota Prukop and Drew Brown as your quarterbacks. At least it's listed right here. So, I mean, that's, you know, I wasn't really excited about Prukop. You know, if Zach Caleros goes down, that's not good news for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, their star quarterback. So that would definitely be somebody to something to keep an eye on. I mean, we'll get a lot of flurries of signings. I mean, you have the draft is upon us, and then hopefully as we get closer. I mean, there's still signings trickling in. No big names out there. I mean, clearly you'll have guys like Nick Arbuckle, who is kind of out there as a potential. I think tradable. Maybe if there's an injury that could happen, but Dakota Prukup, I'm not really too excited about him. Theodore says probably Marcin takes 2 QBs usually, but most important fix is a good kicker. That's right, good kicker. I believe the Blue Bombers lost their kicker. Sergio Castillo left. Is that? I don't see anybody. They have Mark Legato and Ali Mortada on their roster right now as far as their kicking goes. So we'll have to see how that plays out for them. So appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat. Let's hit some social media stuff. Speaking of the fantasy football app, let's talk about that real quick, since you got me thinking about data, because it's something I've been working hard on, all day long, is getting this. Let's see here. There we go. The fantasy football app. So right now, if you go to News Hub Fantasy, you can play USFL fantasy football. And I was able to play a little bit this afternoon with the API from the USFL. Why does this matter? What makes me so excited is because this is basically exactly what I'm going to do with the CFL data and their API, is be able to pull down the roster. I was able to pull down USFL rosters today, sync everything up so it's exactly what the betting sites get and all this kind of stuff. So this is what the interface looks like. This is just a dev league that I had set up. So you have your players here, and then you switch them onto your bench. We were doing 8-team leagues, and it got tricky because with 8-team leagues, you had to. I thought about doing 8 teams as well for the CFL, but we're not going to do that. I think what will happen is it's be 6-team leagues, and that will be the standard. I think for all these leagues is 6-team. This way, maybe we might increase the roster spot by 1 or 2, but it'll just be 6-team leagues. I think for now, we'll see how that goes. But what's cool is that this is the engine that's going to run the CFL. So there will definitely be CFL football, because CFL fantasy football, because if there's USFL fantasy football and they actually finish the season, there'll definitely be CFL. And really, this USFL season was there for me to try to really work out the kinks to be ready for the CFL season. So it's cool. Like if you click on one of the players, like I clicked on Zach Smith, you got his number, the team he's on, the college he went to, the height, weight, and his birth date. And then he didn't do well this past week. Let me see if I can find somebody who scored me some points so you can see who scored me some points last week. I'd have to look. Let's see. I don't know if anybody did, to be honest with you. This is a team that was not very good. Larry Rose didn't score any. Oh, here you go. So Tyler Rarusa. So you could see, you get the points to see he scored 5 points last week, Tampa Bay versus Pitt. He's with the Tampa Bay Bandits. So all this data is in there. And this is what's awesome, is that we'll be able to use the exact same thing. The mechanism's up here. You can go to CFL, sign up, and create your own leagues. But I need to tweak the league so that it's 6 players. And then, but even though I'm dealing with the current league, that's going to take a little work. But I want to get through this season first, or this week first in the USFL, before we start messing around with making changes to prep for the CFL season. Because we still have time. I mean, you're talking May. But we'll be able to pull all that data down, and then you'll be able to do some mock drafts and then have your friends sign up. And I've got a lot of requests to do pick'em games too. I'm all for doing pick'em games. I just, it's just resource time and being able to do it. I want to focus on fantasy first, but then I would love to add pick'em in. Maybe we'll do that for this CFL season, my friends. So, all right, on to the social media stuff before we wrap up the show. And some of these CFL fans are angry people. They're angry. Angry hate out there. Very fascinating. So Rough Riders, Fajardo, and White, we talked about this last week. Matt says whoop-de-doo. And Bill, being a nice guy, says congratulations. That's awesome news. And then Bill sent this. He said, I don't always hate the Calgary Stampeders, but when I do, actually, I hate the Stampeders all the time. There you go. Lots of anger out there, Canadian football fans. On our video, talking about expansion, it's all in the hands of Halifax Council. I hope they find the courage to get it done. Our man Daryl says, great article. Expansion needs to get, or Evan did the article, and expansion needs to get moving. That's my whole point that I am trying to bring, instead of FUD about 3 downs versus 4. Nope, we're pivoting. We're done talking that. That conversation is over, and now we're talking expansion. And that's where the conversation is, because I said so, because that's the bottom line, because Mark said so. And you know where that's from. Oh, let's go to Facebook. About the Bombers signing Jalen Saunders. Brian Jordan says, great signing. I think it's a good signing too. That was a nasty car accident. That is a nasty car accident. So I hope he is back to full strength. We will see what happens. From last week's show, talking about expansion, Surrey Maniac on Twitter says, would the CFL ever put an expansion franchise at Syracuse or Rhode Island? This is what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm saying. Why not? If you're going to do an expansion team, it's got to be close to the, it's got to be up north. You don't want to have a team in Florida, at least not. But if you're going to put 2 teams in, I'm fine with Rhode Island. How cool, how excited would they be if they have a CFL? I mean, clearly, whatever the CFL current cities like Saskatchewan, they got to be bigger than, they're not going to be the size of Toronto. But, you try to get some cities that are big like Hamilton, and then non-NFL cities, the places that, would Vermont love to have a team, or Rhode Island would like to have a team? Syracuse, New York, upstate New York, Buffalo Bills do well. And this is during when it's nice out. All these people in Buffalo going when it's cold and freezing to games, they would love to have it, go to a game. And that would be great for me. If it's upstate New York, that's drivable, and that's a team that I would root for. I grew up in New York. I would root for whatever the team is on the East Coast. That would be my team. Well, maybe not. I'd stick with Hamilton. I'm not that much of a sellout. Let's go on to the YouTube. Theodore says, it would be great if you did a separate video on CFL expansion, maybe get CFL News Hub writers to come up with a city that they think would do well in the CFL. Just make sure they pick different ones, have some special graphics, grade the potential stadiums, let people know how close to the other established cities would be. Maybe it would be fans call in and give their thoughts as well. I love the idea, Theodore. I love the idea. Getting the guys, they are busy now. We have the USFL games going on, so they're all into that. And that's where, so trying to get them to do that. But I love the idea. I copied and pasted your comment and put it in our writers chat to see if there was takers out there. But we'll see as the season goes on. Maybe something fun. That's a great topic to really, spend a couple hours on, to come out with something really good. Maybe I'll pay extra bonus to have that article done. On to the social media stuff. We got an email here. This is from Dave. He says, the only way Metchie III would sign with the CFL team is if we get rid of the salary cap. And that might be a good idea in order to fill the stands with fans. Getting rid of a salary cap. Yeah, I think you'd have to pay him Johnny Manziel money. And I'm joking. I'm totally joking about that. So that's it for this week's show, my friends. Again, hey, thanks everybody in the chat for hanging out with us here. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel as we gear up. I'm super excited about the CFL draft. Last year I came into the draft and with everything going on in the world, I just didn't know. I was kind of like, well, I don't know, and then Hamilton Tiger Cats selected a tight end. I was like, wait, do they even have tight ends in the CFL? Huh? And it was just confusing. Now it's been a full year CFL News Hub. The site's really looking strong this year compared to last year. And we have CFL News Hub app that's doing well. You can download that to your Android. So we have the draft coming up, CFL mobile app, and then we have CFL fantasy football. So it will be a lot of fun this year, my friends. All right. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, email podcast@CFL News Hub. Give us some ideas about expansion areas. We'd love to hear what you thought. You can use it, do your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. 888-430-7692, extension 6. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll read it on next week's show or on Spotify, the whole deal. And watch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, except for the draft. We'll do the draft on YouTube, Twitter, and the Facebooks as well, my friends. All right. Thanks for tuning in. It's going to be a fun walk. I just set up to watch the USFL games. We call it the Lava Lava Lounge. It was a place that me and my wife went to in Hawaii. And so we were like, we would love to live in Hawaii. We talked about moving to Canada if things get crazy in the US, but me and my wife are both beach people and we like warm weather. If there was like an affiliate, place somewhere down south and warm water, like, Bahamas or something if Canada took over the Bahamas, I'd be there. But it's just too cold. But unless you spend, I don't know, I would want to spend this, I don't know. Me and my wife are just not, I grew up in New York and that was cold enough for me. I did not want to keep going up north, getting closer to the Antarctica or whatever's up there, the North Pole. So anyway, my friends, so we're getting closer to the draft. It's going to be a lot of fun doing the draft because as soon as the draft hits, it's go. It is go for the CFL. Super excited about that, my friends. It's super excited to bring you fantasy football for the CFL fans out there. You're going to like what we got built, and it's going to be so exciting because this gives us so much time to keep adding features to it, getting feedback from fans. It's just going to make the fantasy football experience that much better for you in 2022. All right, my friends, God bless as always. Thank you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do and building up this community. It's a lot of fun. And remember, football is supposed to be fun. All right, that's it, my friends. God bless, and I will see you all later.